Good morning. Well, welcome back for the next in our presentation series. Now, as we get into Australia, the main heart of this cruise, we're going to do port talks by state. So we'll do them as we go round Australia. So we'll do our port talks as we go, and that way you'll have our tips for each of the ports that we visit. But before we get into our port talk for today, which is going to cover the 3 Queensland ports that we're visiting, I want to award some prizes for our aquarium photo competition. The challenge was set that you needed to go to the aquarium in your snorkel gear. That was very important. And take a photo as if you were snorkeling. And in third place, very nice, Glenn, Sherry and Susan. Excellent done. I don't know who the mascot is. I didn't get the mascot's name. But in second place, Will. Very nice. Two entries here. I like them both. The one on the left, I really liked. I thought that was fantastic because you got the fish in it. But winning, you're going to love this. Christian. Fantastic. Flippers and all, a very deserving winner. Alrighty, let's talk about Queensland. So we are arriving into Queensland in 2 days' time, and it's going to be our entry point to Australia, a continent country, if you will. And when we get there, and I'm going to talk about this in a moment's time, we are going to do immigration. I'll come back to the immigration point in a moment. But first, it's the state in the northeastern corner of Australia. I'm going to put a map up in a moment. It is the second largest and it is the third most populous of the Australian states. To the east of it is the Coral Sea with the Great Barrier Reef and the Pacific Ocean, of course, where we've been sailing from. To the north is the Torres Strait. Now, when we get to those 4 days between Cairns and Darwin, I'm going to do a couple of presentations in that period. One will talk about the reef itself, and one is going to talk about Torres Strait, specifically talking about the Torres Strait Islanders and Aboriginal Australia. So I'm going to save some of that conversation for then when I can give it a full talk, because it deserves it. The interesting thing about Queensland is it is the 6th largest subnational entity in the world, and it is larger than all but 15 countries. So it really could be a country in its own right. I think you can fit the United Kingdom into it 7 times. It's also, and this we're going to go into more detail when we're sailing through the Torres Strait. It is the oldest known civilization on Earth. The Aboriginal communities of Australia go back tens of thousands of years. And in this part of Australia, it's estimated that the Aboriginal community dates back to about 50,000 years BC. They've been here a while. So here's a map, and you can see I've just sort of drawn over the top of the map to roughly split up the country into the states. And you can see QLD is the state of Queensland, just there. So that's where we're going to be visiting. Overall, there are 5.3 million people who live in Queensland. Mostly they live on the coast, and mainly speaking, they live in the south part of the coast, the part that's closest to New South Wales. You've also got Gold Coast, you've got Sunshine Coast, you've got Townsville, and now as we're heading north, you've got Cairns, and Brisbane is the capital of the state. Just under 30% of the state's population are immigrants to the area. But as I mentioned, there have been native civilization here for a very, very long time. In terms of European population here, it was originally Captain Cook in 1770 turned up and he said, I rather like the look of this for Great Britain. So he claimed the whole of the east coast of Australia for Britain. That's what you now see: Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria. He said, we'll have it all. Thank you. And it wasn't until 1788 that then a guy called Arthur Phillip called the whole thing New South Wales. He then created it as an official colony. Then in 1859, 6th of June 1859, Queen Victoria signed the letters patent that created the separate state of Queensland. And it separated it out from New South Wales. New South Wales, the government in Sydney, used to control the whole thing. And then this split it up. And so Queensland became its own self-governing crown colony. The 6th of June is still celebrated to this day, and it is known as Queensland Day. So let's get into the ports that we're going to be visiting. And we will start with Brisbane, our entry point to Australia. You'll see I've put little symbols at the side just to explain what these mean, because this is the first time you've seen this style of presentation. We've got Wi-Fi at the top. That's the Wi-Fi symbol. We've got toilets. That's the loo roll. I went through a lot of options when picking a symbol for toilets. I think I picked the best one. The coffee mug means that there's a cafe in the area, and that's a taxi at the bottom. By the way, with the taxis, they are generally plentiful in the morning, but less so later on in the day. So if you want them later on in the day, then you phone for one, and then they'll come and pick you up. We will still have the Q&A sessions about all of these ports, and so we cover a little bit more of the logistics in the Q&A sessions as well. But this is the terminal building. It's pretty new. It was built, I think, in 2019, and it opened after the pandemic. And this is where we're going to be doing immigration. The way immigration is going to work is everybody has to be seen face-to-face by an immigration officer. You will not be allowed back on board the ship until everybody has been seen. We call this zero count. And so I would keep that in mind with your plans and timings for the day. Either you're ready to go, you've got everything with you, and you go through, you see immigration, and then you head off for the day. Or you let the other people who want to get off first and be straight out, and you go maybe an hour afterwards, and then you won't be hanging around too long in the terminal to then come back on board. The terminal does have seating, but it doesn't have 1,100 seats. And so that's why it's important to sort of plan that based on the day that you're intending to have. I'm going to cover more of that in the Q&A session as well, which we'll do tomorrow. Just about the Q&A session tomorrow, they're going to be slightly different times. We're going to do one at 2 p.m. in the afternoon and one at 7 p.m. because tomorrow is a movie night. So, round of applause. Thank you. Okay. This is where we're going to be docked. That's where the terminal is, which is where the little ship is in the circle, and the centre of Brisbane, also known as the CBD. CBD, you're going to see that a lot around Australia. Central Business District. CBD is basically downtown. It's the main centre of town. Now, it's 23 kilometres. Some people drive that in 25 minutes. Some people drive it much, much faster. And so you're looking at anywhere between 15 to 25 minutes. It depends on traffic, and it depends on whether your driver obeys the laws of the road. So let's go through my top 10. And again, just because this is the first time you've seen this structure, I'll just talk you through the screen because it's going to be the same now for each of the 3 ports that we talk about today. You've got the name of the place. You've got the key facts about it, which include the hours of opening, the price for entry if there is one, a website, and a QR code if you're lazy to type the website. Over here, you've got a map which has a blue box, which is where the thing that I'm talking about is. And then you've got some numbers in yellow circles. They are other places that I'm also going to be talking about. And you'll see here in the middle which number we're currently talking about. So currently we're talking about number 1. Number 1 is in the box. But when we talk about number 2, that's here. And you can see whether it's close to what we're currently talking about. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what the screen is going to look like for you. So this is Queen Street. Oh, and that's a picture. But I'm sure you probably worked that bit out yourself. So Queen Street Mall is the main shopping centre area of Brisbane. It's massive. It's got about 500 shops. So if you want to go shopping, you want to go straight to Queen Street Mall. And very conveniently, the shuttle bus drops us off on Ann Street. So Ann Street is just one up from Queen Street. It's very, very close indeed. Now, here's the thing about the names in Brisbane. It'll help you work out where you are, into which road you're on. The roads that go, you see the long line of the box. The roads that go along, parallel to the long line of the box, are all named after female British royalty. Female British royalty. So you've got Anne, you've got Adelaide, you've got Alice, and then Queen is the one right in the centre, and that's the main one. So they're all the ladies. The streets that go the other way are all the male monarchs. And so that way you'll know if you're on a street that calls itself by a man's name, then you're going along parallel to the river. And if you're on a street that is a lady's name, you're walking either towards the river or away from the river. And that way you keep that in mind. But this is the place to go shopping. Loads and loads of choice here. But let's say that you don't want to go shopping. Let's say you want to go and enjoy some time out in nature. Brisbane has 2 botanical gardens to enjoy. Both of them are free, which is great. Another botanical garden that's free in Australia and also well worth visiting is when we get to Sydney. That's free and right on the waterfront. There are 2 sites of the botanical gardens here in Brisbane. One of them is in the square there on the map. The other one is actually a little ride away. It's about 6 kilometres drive out from the CBD. And well worth going to, but you'll want to get a taxi out there. And that is the Brisbane Botanic Gardens Mount Coota. And from there, it's elevated. There's a lookout. You get great views back over the city. And they've also got the world's largest collection of Australian native rainforest trees. If you've seen pictures of it, you'll also have seen they've got this big glass dome. You know those sort of glass domes that a lot of these eco-dome sort of things. Well worth going to. That's probably the more impressive of the 2 parts of the Brisbane Botanic Gardens is the one that's 6 kilometres out of town. But the one that's in town is very relaxing. Right along the riverfront, there's a walkway that goes along the river. Then there are paths that go inside the park as well. Plenty of shade and a very nice day out. Funnily enough, they were started as prisoner gardens. A lot of Australia, as it is currently known and seen, was settled out of penal colonies. And so a lot of the cities in Australia grew out of British penal colonies. And in 1825, the prisoners of the prison colony at Moreton Bay, which is just by here, set up these as a garden to feed themselves. If you go up to the one that's 6 kilometres out of town, there's also a planetarium there, if you like planetariums. If you like museums, then this is the Queensland Museum, sort of the state museum, if you will, also free to visit. How good is this? Free to visit, and it's on the South Bank. Now, we mentioned the South Bank when we were chatting just before. South Bank's fantastic in Brisbane. So you've got in the box, you've got the Queensland Museum. By the way, there are so many bridges in Brisbane. It's like they had it as a state hobby, just build another bridge. Thousands of bridges. Anyway, so you've got, here we can find it here. There's the museum. Now this bit here, in between the box and number 8, which is another museum, which we'll talk about in a minute, that is the beach, if you will. It's a lagoon. It's totally man-made, but it's a park. There's a place you can go swimming because it's not really a city beach, but this is it along the riverfront. So that's well worth walking through. It's a really nice area. The Queensland Museum it's got a lot of stuff from the prehistoric era. If you're interested in sort of the natural history. It's got some interesting scientific information there and also some social and cultural stories. Talking of stories, the Story Bridge is one of Brisbane's many bridges, and it is one of only 3 bridges in the world that offer a bridge climb. Now, this isn't a bridge crossing where you walk across the bridge. This is where you climb along the top of the bridge. There are only 3 bridges in the world that do this. We are visiting every single one in this itinerary. You can tick them all off in one go. And then you can jump off the last one. Not in that way, but it's got a bungee jump. And we'll talk about that when we get towards New Zealand. But the 3 bridges in the world that do this bridge climb are here, Sydney, and Auckland. So they are the 3 bridge climbs in the world. It's not particularly cheap. It's $130, but you get amazing views and a bit of adrenaline, a bit of fun. So that's Story Bridge. If you're interested in that, you climb up 80 meters. Next up is Parliament House. This is the Parliament building of the state. It was built in 1868, and you can go inside for free. There's so much stuff here that is for free, which is really brilliant. If Parliament is in session, you can go and watch. You can sit in the public gallery. If they are not in session, then they do free guided tours. And so you can go at 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., or 4 p.m. I recommend not doing the 4 p.m. tour for obvious reasons. If you want to get out of town and hug a koala, then Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary could be your choice. It's a 15-kilometer drive from the CBD, just to the southeast of town, and it's $54 to go in. Just be careful, of course, because koalas are known to have chlamydia. It's true. A vast, vast population within the koala population has chlamydia. Anyway, it's called Lone Pine because back in 1867, it was planted by a man called Daniel. It wasn't me, a different one. Daniel Clarkson, and it was a cotton farm. And it became this one pine all on its own in this cotton farm, and it became a meeting point. It was the landmark. And so people used to say, I'll meet you at the Lone Pine. And so when it stopped being a cotton farm and started being a sanctuary, they called it the Lone Pine Sanctuary. Back into Brisbane itself, we've got the Museum of Brisbane, also free. And this is located on level 3 of the Brisbane City Hall. So beautiful building. They have a clock tower, which you can't see in the photo because it's too tall. But you can often climb the clock tower. And so that's good fun if you enjoy hearing the bells ring extremely loudly in your ears. And there's often, I can't promise it, but there is often an Aboriginal artist in residence. And they'll be creating their own art, but you'll be able to ask them questions and talk to them about their life and history. There is also free Wi-Fi in this museum, which I know will excite some of you more than the exhibits. Another museum, this one's not free, $18 to enjoy. The Maritime Museum of Brisbane. Brisbane has a fairly long maritime history, as do most places that we visit, given that they are ports. And so you can pop in here and enjoy that. And the opening hours are here. Okay. Now, we're going to get to number 9 next. Number 9, out of Brisbane, but one of the top attractions of this area, and that is Australia Zoo, made famous by a man called Steve Irwin. You probably remember Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. Now, Steve Irwin was brought up around animals, and actually his mum was the person who brought that into his life, and she cared for animals at a reptile park called Beerwah Reptile Park. And it started off just a 2-acre reptile park, and then it grew and it grew and it grew, and it's still owned by Steve's family. Obviously, he died in 2006 in an accident snorkeling on the Great Barrier Reef. I think he was stung by a stingray. It was to do with stingray, yeah. But it's run by his wife and his children as well. So it's one of the top attractions and one of the most famous zoos. They do shows with the crocodiles as well in a sort of a purpose-made crocodile arena, if you would like to go and see that. And the crocodiles are on an equity contract, so they get very well paid, I'm sure, in chicken. But if you want a beach day, I mentioned there's not really a beach in Brisbane apart from that lagoon along the south bank. So your best options are actually to go to Gold Coast, which is a different city. Gold Coast is gorgeous. That stretches and stretches of just beach, and then you've got the skyscrapers onto the beach. It sort of makes me think of Miami in a way, but with a little bit less Art Deco. It's a little bit more modern architecture, but Gold Coast is your best place for beaches, and it's about an hour's away by car, 79 kilometres. And they've got lots of beaches: Snapper Rocks, Rainbow Bay, Burley Heads, Surfers Paradise, lots to choose from. Now here's a treat for you, because I've noticed some snapping of the cameras in this presentation. I thought there would be, that's why I've stood to the side. I've made you a map. So if you would like a photograph, I'll stand out the way. So that's the top 10 and their positions on a map. There we go. Where's the ship? The ship's way out. Yeah. 15 kilometers away. It's not a free shuttle. That's a shame, isn't it? Yeah, it's not a free shuttle. You can get your shuttle tickets already at the Shore Excursions desk, or you can pay for it when we get there. Either way, it's the same price. It just depends on if you just want to have it done. Or you can take a taxi as well. The shuttle will be cheaper than a taxi, but it is a paid shuttle. All right, let's move on to Townsville. So Townsville is on the northeastern coast of Queensland. It's got a population of 179,000, and it is the largest settlement in North Queensland. It's in an area called the Dry Tropics. And if you're thinking about the Great Barrier Reef, it's adjacent to the central section of the Great Barrier Reef. So you're right in the middle of the reef if you were to swim out. But really, the thing that this area is known for within Australia is industry. It's home to one of the world's largest zinc refineries, and it's also home to a very large nickel refinery. And if you don't know, lithium batteries use nickel. And so given that there's a lot of movement now towards electric cars and all those sort of things that use electric batteries instead of a petrol or diesel burning motor, nickel refineries are bringing in a huge amount of money. And so this part of North Queensland is very much investing in that industry now. Here's a little maparoo for you. The ship is where the ship is in the circle, and the downtown area, the CBD, is in the box. And you can see it's significantly closer than when we were in Brisbane. You could walk it. If you chose to walk it, you could walk it. It's 3 kilometers, so that's going to take roughly an hour to walk for some people, 3 days for others. Otherwise, it's a 6-minute drive. Let's go through our top 10 for Townsville. Let's start out of town with the Billabong Sanctuary. Again, a nice chance to get up close with Australia's animals, have a cuddle with some other furry creatures. Some of them you don't want to have a cuddle with because they can be a bit aggressive. Kangaroos and wallabies will kick you, especially if you try and go for their children. So don't do that. Just go for the grandparents. Nobody cares about the grandparents. It's $46 for entry, and it's open from 9 till 4. But if you want to stay in town, lots of options for you here. The main one, just for relaxing and just soaking up the atmosphere, is a place called the Strand. Now, the Strand is right along the waterfront, and it's got a bit of beachfront. It's got some cafes and shops. It's just a nice sort of esplanade along the waterfront to go on a walk. And local families will probably be playing out there as well. If you want to go on a bit more of a hike, then Castle Hill is a great choice. There are a couple of really nice hikes out in nature in the Townsville area. This one is the most local because it is pretty much in the centre of Townsville, and it is just meters short of being called a mountain, but it is too short to be a mountain, and it is therefore just a hill. But don't worry, it's still a nice hill, and if you get to the top of it, then you'll get some great photographs. About 2,500 people climb it every day is the average, so it's very popular. And when you get up to the top, you'll be looking at the same view that American and Allied servicemen were looking at during Second World War, because they used it as a vantage point to see what was going on and if anybody was coming. You can get there by road, you can get there on a bike, you can get there by walking as you climb up the hill. I wonder if I jotted down how tall it was. I think I probably did. If I can find my mouse, here it is. I didn't. So you'll have to let me know. Okay. Here's something that's closed. They still take pictures of it, but I wanted to put this one in, even though it's closed, and I know it's strange to put something that's closed in the highlights, but the issue here is, this really is a highlight. And some of you may have had it on your list, and I want you to know so that you're not disappointed to waste any time trying to go there. They're currently refurbishing it, and it will reopen, but not in time for 3 days' time. Something that is open and just next door to that aquarium is the Museum of Tropical Queensland. It's actually part of the same museum group as the museum in Brisbane. This is just the northern wing of that museum, and it's free to go and enjoy the exhibits there. If you're enjoying art, another good option in Townsville is the Perth Tucker Regional Gallery. This art gallery is in a beautiful building. You see the building there, and it's just on the corner of Denham and Flinders Streets, which is right where the bridge crosses to get you into the CBD. So as soon as you've crossed the water, it's one of the first buildings that you see. It's got a fair amount of local art, regional art, as well as some larger exhibitions as well. But the main focus of the gallery is local. You've also got the Townsville Maritime Museum. There are going to be a lot of maritime museums on our itinerary for obvious reasons. The interesting thing at this particular maritime museum is that in 2007 they were gifted a ship, the HMAS Townsville, named after the town, which is a Fremantle-class patrol boat, and so that's now part of their collection, and it sits just outside in the water. They've also got a good collection of old lighthouse lenses, if you enjoy that sort of stuff. It's a $12 entry, and something new for you, something new in as I talk you through the slides. So those little symbols there, that's a credit card and coins. And so I know for a fact that they take coins, as in cash, and credit cards. So where I know for sure, I put it in the slides. Where I don't know, that's where those tip sheets will be very handy if you let me know, and then I can obviously add to it. But where I already know something, I've put it in as the little symbol. If you've got really good lungs, then you could go to the Museum of Underwater Art. I warn you, this museum is underwater. That's why it's called the Museum of Underwater Art. There is one exhibit which is above water, and that is what the picture is of, and that is of the ocean siren. You'll see that from the Strand, which is the end of the Strand where I've put one of the boxes, but you'll notice on the map there are two boxes here. And that is because most of this museum is sunk underwater a little bit off the coast. It's the largest underwater sculpture in the world. It's in the Guinness Book of Records. It's a coral greenhouse, and you can dive to it. But if you don't want to go diving, then it's still worth going and enjoying the stuff which is just along the waterfront, along the Strand. If you want to stay dry and roughly in town, but still out enjoying nature, then you've got Queen's Gardens. Now, the hill that looks like it might be a mountain, but it's a hill, that's Castle Hill. The gardens are just at the base of the Castle Hill, so you could enjoy the gardens and enjoy the views of the hill, or indeed you could do both. But they were initiated in 1870, and it's the oldest botanic garden in Townsville. It is now heritage listed. It now covers 4 hectares, but it was originally 40 hectares. It was huge, and just as the town grew, they just started building on more and more of the land. But now it's protected. And there is a leaflet, if you visit, which will give you more information about the plants that you're seeing and the layout of the garden as well. Of the same ilk, a little bit out of town, 20-minute drive, 15 kilometers, is the Townsville Palmetum. And if you're particularly interested in palm trees, then this is the place to go. Because they have got pretty much, they've not got the entire collection, but they have got pretty much every species of palm tree that you would find in Australia. They've not got every single one, but they've got pretty much. And they've got an excellent collection there. And it is free to visit, open from sunrise to sunset. Well, we've got to number 10 of Townsville, and now guess what? You get a map. Never had so many pictures taken of me. I should start posing. Some of you are faster at taking photos than others. Others of you are really working on your shot. All right, let's move on to Cairns then, our final port in Queensland for our visits this cruise. Now, a couple of ways you can say Cairns, right and wrong. Internationals, as are most of us, tend to put the R into it, Cairns. But often Australians don't put that R in, and they'll say Cairns, Cairns, as if it's like the French one, Cannes. And so you'll hear it both ways, but there is an R in the spelt out version. But you'll hear it both ways, Cairns, Cannes. Okay, a couple of new symbols for you to point out. I at the top means that there is information. And at this port, usually for the first couple of hours of our stay, locals lay out a tourist information booth in the terminal area. Now, actually in Townsville, sometimes they do, but it's so inconsistent, and it's just run by volunteers, that I didn't put that symbol for Townsville, because I don't want to overpromise something that we have no control over. But in Cairns, they do usually have for the first couple of hours. They've also got toilets. They've also got shopping. That's a shopping bag that's just by the terminal area, and taxis as well. Now, the original name for this area that we now call Cairns, is Gimoy. And that's an Aboriginal word for a tree, the Gimoy tree. And the Gimoy tree is the tree that was plentiful in this area, and so the Aboriginal community named the settlement that they had there after the tree. And it's the Yidinji people that are the predominant Aboriginal community of this region. Now, that's where I'm going to leave the Aboriginal story for now, because I want to give it the time and space it deserves when we get to those days at sea in between Cairns and Darwin. So I'm going to do a full presentation about that then. We're now in tropical northeast, far north Queensland. We're right up there near the tip top of the country. 169,000 people live here, And it was founded as a European colony in 1876. It was named after Sir William Wellington Cairns, following the discovery of gold in the Hodgkinson River. And so there was a bit of a gold rush here, and that brought a lot of people up prospecting for gold. It also became a staging ground for the Allied forces in the Battle of the Coral Sea in World War II. It's also the only, that I can think of, the only city in the world that is sandwiched between two World Heritage Sites. You've got the Great Barrier Reef on one side, out to sea, and you've got the wet tropics rainforest, the oldest rainforest in the world, on the other side, inland. So let's take a look. Here's a quick map. This is where the ship is docked. That's the ship in the circle. And the big box is the CBD, the downtown area of Cairns. It's going to be extremely hot. Extremely hot. Actually, probably in all three of these ports, extremely hot. There's currently a heat warning out in Brisbane. And Brisbane is the furthest south of the ports. And remember, in Australia, further south generally means colder, because it's upside down. Okay, top 10. Rusty's Markets. If you just want to go to a local market, this is one of the most successful and well-known markets in Australia. Started out in 1975, had about 6 stalls. Now it's got over 180 stalls. It's a big, big market. You'll see plenty of locals there. They sell all sorts, from fruit and veg to other stuff as well. Talking of fruit and veg, whilst we're on this juncture, very, very strict in Australia, as there will be in New Zealand as well, with biosecurity. There are huge fines. Huge fines. It could be the most expensive stolen apple you've ever taken off a ship. It's not worth it. So do bear that in mind, and don't take fruit and veg off the ship, but you are welcome to bring stuff back on. Cairns Esplanade is lovely. This is a man-made lagoon, because there's no beach in Cairns. No beach. And so they've made a saltwater lagoon. It's 4,800 square meters. Plenty of space to have a splash about if you want. You'll see loads of locals and kids having good fun there. And it's right along the waterfront. They've got banyan trees. They've got barbecues where you can cook for yourself. So if you get something in the market, you can then take it to the barbecues by the lagoon and make yourself lunch if you've been missing cooking. Also in that area is the Reef Eye Ferris wheel. Now, we are extremely lucky that the Reef Eye Ferris wheel is going to be open for us because it closes for a refurbishment a few days after our visit. I think 2 days after. Now, you can argue whether that's lucky or not. You've got to wonder why it's needing to be closed for refurbishment, but you can let me know after you've enjoyed the ride. I just recommend holding on really tight at the top. And don't swing the gondola. It might be the last thing you do. Anyway, it's $12, and it's open 10 a.m. in the morning through to 10 at night. Here's something which I hope to be doing when we get to Cairns. I need to negotiate with the higher-ups. I need to make sure that we don't have a crew drill that day. And if we do, I need to try and get myself out of it, because this is the best. Skyrail Rainforest Cableway. Now, usually I would recommend this as a part of a twosome. I would say to you, and this, by the way, it goes to Kuranda. We'll talk more about Kuranda. But this takes you up high above the rainforest, soaring like a bird, into the mountains. There's a train ride that curves back down through the mountains and through the rainforest back. That is closed because there's been some landslides, and they need to move that land off of the tracks before the train goes back on it. So you can just take this Skyrail both ways, because the thing with being in the sky is it's not affected by landfall. What you need to do is you need to get a taxi 20 minutes, 14 kilometers, to where the square is. The square is where you pick up the sky rail. The sky rail then obviously goes further into Kuranda. But you'll notice there's a dotted line out of the box. That's the sky rail itself. So you're going to a place called Smithfield, I think it's called, and you're going to pick it up there. If you go online, and the website is there on the screen, as is the QR code if you find that your fingers don't like typing out letters. Book it online. Say that you're coming on a cruise ship. If enough people do that, they lay on a bus that will take us from the cruise ship to the Smithfield terminal. And so I recommend, if you're interested in this, it's better to book it in advance because you might get an extra service for it, and you don't pay any extra for that service. They do it if it makes sense for them to do it. It's $117 for the return journey, and you will need to get the return journey this time because you can't take the train, and you can't fly. Let's talk about some things that are up in Kuranda as we round out this talk. You've got the Butterfly Sanctuary, which is the largest butterfly aviary in the southern hemisphere. They've got a massive, massive butterfly. It's actually hideously huge, and it is called the Cairns birdwing. It gives you an idea of how huge that butterfly is, that they're calling it a birdwing butterfly. It's massive. It's quite scary. You've also got the Kuranda Heritage Markets here. There are 3 markets in Kuranda, and they're all very popular with tourists, but it's the locals that run the markets. There have been settlements here in Kuranda since 1885, and the railway was built in 1891. It's not the cheapest of markets, I'll say that, because it is a tourist hotspot, but they sell some beautiful stuff. Birds, probably somewhere for Annie Francis to go. Bird World. There are a couple of bird worlds around, but Bird World Kuranda is in Kuranda. It's open from 10 a.m. to 4, and it's from $10.50. Now, I say from $10.50 because you can get a combined ticket that will give you access to a few of the different attractions in Kuranda. And so if you do want to go to a few of them, then you're better off to get the combined ticket because it'll save you money overall. There's also a restaurant up there. I think it's called Frogs, and so you can go to the restaurant. If you're going to Bird World, if you're going to the Animal Sanctuary, my top tip is to go early afternoon, sort of 2 o'clock-ish, because you miss the rush. That tends to be the lull in the day. For some reason, everybody's going to go and get a late lunch, and then you sweep in and you see all the animals. Final couple of ideas for you, and this now connects in with the water and the reefs. So we are, of course, by the Great Barrier Reef in Cairns. That's the sort of the top point of the reef in line with Cairns as it goes down south. Green Island, which is a 45-minute catamaran ride from Cairns itself, is the only part of the Great Barrier Reef with a rainforest growing on it. It's fascinating how this happened because there's no fresh water. It's surrounded by sea. It's grown out of the sea. And it has survived based on rainwater alone. So rainwater has fallen, and then the coral itself, it's genius how this happens naturally. The coral itself has made itself a freshwater pool underwater. And so it supplies its own rainforest and collects its own rainwater. Very clever. It's small. There's a resort on the island, which means that you can get food out there and you can rent snorkel gear and stuff out there. But there's somewhere else that's a bit bigger as well, a little bit closer, and that is Fitzroy Island. There's a bit of a face-off between the two as to which one's better. There's ferries that can go to both, or you can get a private boat to either, so that you get a bit more control over your times. Roughly 45 minutes to get here. Even though it's closer to land, you've got to go around the land to get there, so the journey time's roughly the same. And again, there's a resort on this island, and you can eat there and get your snorkeling equipment there too. My final tip for Cairns is the Great Barrier Reef itself. The Great Barrier Reef, the largest barrier reef on Earth, and it's the only natural structure that can be seen from space. And so it's very much the thing of the area. In order to see it, you've got to go out on a boat, and you're not going to see much of it because obviously time restraints. Some people would go and they would do liveaboard boat tours, and they would go in a boat for 3 days and enjoy. But you'll be able to see the closer section of the reef. If you went off as one of your sort of first thing, you go out, you get one of those glass bottom boats, and you enjoy a day on the water. You will see more of the Great Barrier Reef by doing that than by waiting for our Great Barrier Reef experience, which is 4 days of seeing water. So if you want to see the coral and see the reef, then Cairns is your day, and it's a great chance to get out onto the water and see a little bit of the reef. Are you ready for the next part? Yeah. 2 maps. I offer you Kuranda and Cairns, and 8, 9, and 10 are out in the water. Okie dokie. Well, thank you, paparazzi, for coming. We will. Thank you. We're going to we'll take questions in those Q&A sessions. So please do, any questions that you jotted down, please bring them to those Q&A sessions. 2 o'clock tomorrow and 7 o'clock tomorrow, we'll talk about Brisbane. Then the next day we talk about Townsville. The next day we talk about Cairns. And I'll repeat this presentation at 2 o'clock if you want it again. Thank you for coming.